allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Yeah.
We have all members in attendance.
I'm
Christine
here, yeah.
and Kelly,
Yeah.
myself, Steve Rigg, John Thaler, Michael Quinn.
Okay, we're here.
Do we have any adjustments to consider, Richie? Okay. Concerning the consent agenda, are there? Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. You have to have
okay.
comments from the public, Mr. Rudine. You want to make?
Thank you. District members, I would like to thank you for your service. My name is Rod Rudine. I'm with Texas Groundworks Management. TGM is a landscape maintenance contractor that services water boards, HOAs, and commercial properties. We've been in business for 25 years. We're members of the AWBD. You'll find this listed in the summer and the winter catalog. There's a card in front of you that has a list of our services. We of course do grass cutting and flower beds, but we also do tractor mowing. We do tree care from planting to removal. We also do irrigation, installation, and repair. TGM is also a site work contractor. We do erosion control. We do concrete work, custom fencing. We do everything from master plan community installs to small area mowing, just depending on what the needs of the district are. We'd like to be considered if you're viewing any of your current service providers, or if you have any special projects that come up. We also have an architect on staff. We're able to do design build for any special projects, to show you 3D imaging and so forth before installation. This is included in our chart. It's nothing extra. So anyway, I just want to leave that information with you. If there's anything we can do for you, we're here to serve you. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you for
Rudine.
taking your time. Yeah.
Okay, on the consent agenda, are there any comments regarding minutes from July? Okay, any of the financial reports and disbursements, anything to consider there? Tax collector's report?
Tax collectors report. Everything's fine on the tax collector's report, but I'd like to make sure that we include Jeannie in the conversation that's coming up on item number. I don't know. What are you guys talking?
12.
Well, was it? Thank you. Oh, it's on, that was on the wrong page. Thanks. And item 12, when we get to talking about the appraised values and how it ties to the tax rates,
Okay.
but nothing else.
Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving on to the regular agenda. John, would you give us a recap of the trustees report, please?
Yeah, it'll just be brief because the minutes were pretty darn good. The Board of Trustees did approve the Woodlands, the SJRA Woodlands Division budget for your recommendations. We did discuss 2 budget scenarios for Woodlands Water, and I think we'll hear more from that from Eric today. And it was a pretty thorough discussion, and it was discussed in the minutes as well, if you'd like to hear that. And then finally, just to draw attention to it, the Board of Trustees has been active in forming both standing committees and ad hoc. And I want you to be aware of those, because if you have any questions or comments about these certain subject, go to the chairman or go to the members. So standing committees are audit, personnel, and public engagement. And then the ad hoc committee so far are water loss and engineering. So if you're interested in understanding what's going on, and you want to talk about volunteering, the committees have gotten pretty active, and I think they're going to be helping us in the next year form a lot of what we do. That's my commercial for the Board of Trustees.
I, for one, was glad to see in the minutes too that that both SJRA and HGR are going to be keeping an ongoing log of all the breaks and the causes for the breaks, so we don't have to go through digging through history again to find all those things. So that's an important.
Good point. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so we're moving on to reviewing the district's draft fiscal year 26-27 operating budget. Okay.
two documents here. One is just a kind of cover page, talked about how we got here, and the budget is here on the big piece of paper. As you can see, we changed this, I think last year, as we put in the notes for various things that are around or above or below 10% roughly. I added a couple extra notes as well and some specific items, but overall revenue is projected to increase about 2%, with overall expenditures proposed at essentially the same as last year, about 0. You can see on there, the revenues and inspections, we're proposing a slight change in the fee structure on, like if a developer comes and wants to do something, they must submit drawings. So we're adjusting rates so that, or the fees, so that when they do submit those drawings, they submit proper fees. And then we have to do inspections and things like that. So that would all be borne by the developers or plumbers, customers, contractors, et cetera. They're doing work in a business in the district. Probably the biggest item to take a look at is on the back page. That's where really the meat and potatoes of the work that we do year in, year out. Couple kind of bigger things that affect the budget is, one is on the engineering side. It has gone down a little bit, but we are going to be doing the engineering for, so if you recall, the sanitary sewer rehabilitation project that started several years ago was to be put in 3 phases. And so phase 2 is complete. We're finishing that up. We have a pass estimate number 8 here, and we'll likely have a final pass estimate next month to close that project out. And then this coming year, what we've done is put the engineering in for phase 3. And then we took out the construction for that project. So down in line item 5300.09, you see that significant decrease from 110 to 3700. So that, I expect that to come back in probably in the 2028 budget. But that we're not expecting the construction piece of that to occur next year. And then one of the bigger item on the large ditch repair is, this current year, we focused on some minor tree trimming. We did some backslope interceptor piping and storm sewer piping repairs. We didn't tackle a whole lot of desilt or some of the heavier stuff other than the piping. And so in that line item 5300.12, large ditch repair, you see that goes up by about 300,000. There's in the evaluation year before, there was some siltation that was identified in there, and we put that in there for helping to desilt the areas of the 2 ditches that wrap around the Capstone development. So there's kind of 2 ditches that come around it. Well, those we're going to look at doing some desiltation, which unfortunately, when you desilt, it'd be nice if you could just lay it back up on the bank and let it go. But if it's silted in before, it likely won't stay. And so you have to haul it off. As soon as you put it in the truck, it gets really expensive. So we're just trying to monitor our expense on that. But that is the big change in that one. And then the storm sewer line item stays about the same to address some of the other storm sewer piping that, like we were doing this year. We mentioned last year that we felt like it was probably going to be about a 12 to 18 month program, maybe 24. And we've made significant progress throughout the Woodlands this year on all the large ditch and storm sewer stuff. So those were the bigger items, the big movers on the budget for the district. The resultant cash available at the end of year goes up slightly from this year. We're projecting to start the year at about 16.7 months of reserve. And at the end of this budget, it will go up to about 17.1. That's assuming the tax rate that we'll talk about a little bit later. So obviously that whatever the district decides on that may or may not change that slightly in terms of your reserve. This budget would include a net income gain of about $450,000 for this year, which is what causes that reserve to go up slightly. So I know we've got a lot of projects coming down the pipe, but I think the district is in really good shape financially right now. No approvals this month on the budget. We would look for approvals next month and go from there.
Good. Can we ask some questions? If I could suggest, Mr. President, if we could start with page one and just work our way down, so I don't
Okay,
make that a little more.
start with the revenue.
Start with, yeah, I have a question on infrastructure renewal. You have anything before that?
Yeah, I was just curious, in the assumption for the water revenue and the sewer revenue, obviously there's a decrease versus projected actual for the current fiscal year. Is that because this year was an unusual year and therefore it's higher, or your figure next year is more normal year? Why the decrease?
It fluctuates based on projections. We don't know how much it's gonna rain. That's what it boils down to. So we kind of go back, not assuming that each year is gonna be the same in terms of whether it was an abnormally dry year, abnormally wet year. So we kind of go in to the last few years and look at what the water usage was and do kind of an averaging. So any given year, there's gonna be a up or down fluctuation of that. We try to keep, get it fairly close, but we just don't know how much it's gonna. Dry years, obviously, you sell more water. Wet years, you have less.
It does seem a little conservative if you look at the last couple of years, but I'd rather be conservative.
That's
Than
fine.
getting over my skis.
Just want to know that, share what the explanation is for
No,
everyone.
no,
Yeah. Yeah.
remember, we have 3 new board members, so some of the questions are gonna be for information to help us all learn. Plus I have to remember because I can't. It'll help me too.
Okay.
Okay, no, good stuff.
Carry on.
I had a question about infrastructure renewal fee at 11 cents. Okay, I was here when you did it. Now remind me what it is and how we set it and why it transfers out.
So the recall at the beginning, end of last year, beginning of this year, the GRP reported that there would be a reduction in the rate, the GRP surface water rate. And so that was a reduction of 11 cents. And so the boards decided to take that 11 cents and put that towards a separate line item that's infrastructure renewal. Knowing that there would likely be an increase with the water project, which was reported a number of times this year and last year to the boards. I think it was around 43 cents, 43-cent increase for the first tranche of the tier 1 projects. And so knowing that that was likely going to be coming at some point, the boards decided to put that 11, instead of dropping it to 0 and then whipping it back up, because you don't really want to whip the customers up and down, up and down. So it was started in February that went into place. And so, because that's when the reduction of the 11 cents went into place. So it was a flat balance 0 to the customers.
So we're going to collect it again this year. Do we have the option in preparation for the renewal program that's coming to raise that rate? And that's another lever. There's 3 levers then, right?
Right.
We haven't looked at that. The other months have talked about it. We have the tax rates. We have the water rates, and this is another lever.
I mean, this is a water rate. This goes into the water rate. It's just a separate
It's
water
just
rate
a
line.
separate item.
It's just separate. Yeah, the idea was don't hide it inside the retail rate.
Right.
Pull it out as a separate rate so people can see
Now
that this money is going towards infrastructure.
So that would still be the same argument then if we know the large outlays are coming. That's a place to put it instead of just saying, hey, it's a water rate. And people go, what's that all about? You can say it's a renewal rate and here's the projects. Okay, just that's something for us to think about.
It's more transparency than anything.
And on the accounting side, it looks like on the very bottom of that page, it's transferring back out. Is that right? Is that just
At
something?
the end of this year, I'm gonna transfer it collected to a balance sheet liability account, and I just
Oh,
want to
yeah,
show
that's
that.
why. That's exactly what I
Just
was
doesn't get
thinking.
buried in-
We want to separate it. Yeah.
Is that what you're doing? Just keep them separate? A lie, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's okay. No, I'm not against it. I just didn't understand why it was going
That's
out.
why. I may
Thanks.
create the expense
Oh.
account or just use miscellaneous.
That helped me. Before we go on any further, just as well, so I made this spreadsheet. I'm not going to present it, but it has some background information about the stuff that happens in this budgeting process. Because I know I get confused we get stuff from, we get bills, Woodland Water Association, they do the work. And then they bill us. They have different ways they bill us. And I explained in here which things get billed which ways. And you can see that most of their work is going to be the things that Eric talked about, the direct work on the second page. But this will help put it in perspective for you, what our MUD does relative to other MUDs and how we pay for it. And the other part that's in here would be the Bear Branch. We'll talk about Bear Branch later. There's a lot of Bear Branch activity and helps you separate the 3 different Bear Branch things that we're involved in. We are involved in the Bear Branch O&M as a regular ongoing thing with 4 other MUDs. We're involved in the Bear Branch R&R Fund, which in this case, the big money is the spillway that Ed's talked about. And it helps you understand what our liability, or what our expenses are going to be coming forward and how it's split up. And the third thing is a thing called the drainage, which Eric's going to talk about today. And we're a small group of MUDs are in that one as well. And we have control, we're kind of in charge of that. And I haven't done a sheet on that, but that's coming up. So 3 parts of Bear Branch that you need to be aware of that we're all in. And this helps explain some of what happened. That's all it is, and use it for background. And I hope it helps you understand, because it took me 2 years to try to get to this and I'm still not getting it all. Sorry for that commercial.
Thanks,
Yeah,
John, for
wonderful.
putting that together.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So I hope it helps. All right. So we've talked about infrastructure renewal.
On the second page, or were you
No,
ready? Are
I
you still
would go
with
down
one?
to director per diem. I don't think that's going to be enough for next year, Eric. We've got these subcommittees. We've got all MUD meetings coming up. I'd recommend bumping that up to 25 or 2750, whatever Mr. President thinks might be good. I did some back of the envelope calculations, and we're going to have a lot more participation from this meetings. So just a suggestion.
Easy enough.
Legal's here. To the budget's about flat to what it was, even though our projected expenses were higher this year. With a supplemental agreement and everything else that's coming down the pike, Brian, do you think that's going to be a good enough number?
You know, that number, I generally don't, every maybe 3 or 4 years, we might adjust it, but otherwise just leave it the same. Some MUDs, it's way under, some it's a little over. It really just depends on what's going on. At this point, based on what we've got, I don't have any basis to make a change.
Okay.
Okay.
Want to bounce that off you?
Yeah.
You're here? Want to
Yeah.
hear from, you're the boss. All right. I got one on merchant service processing for 40 grand. So we're one of 10 MUDs. And so that must mean we're probably $500,000 in the merchant service processing. Well, who does that?
I-
Is that about right? About $500,000 for all of us?
Well, no, I don't know. I have to look.
Yeah, I know, me too.
It depends on the district size and how many customers.
That's kind of where I want to get to with you, is that I don't know enough about it. I don't want to challenge your budgeting, but what I'd like to do is dig a little deeper. That area is in flux by how much people charge and who's charging. You know that probably better than I do. So I'd like to learn a little bit more about it, just to make sure that I can check off the box and say that's, we're being efficient, which you always are in what you do, just to make sure I'm comfortable and understand it better.
Sure.
So if you put that on your list for the future, not urgent. I know you have a lot on your plate right now. Okay. Can I go to Bear Branch? Bear Branch on page 1. So Bear Branch, that number looks mysterious, but it's not. It's 2 pieces. It's the O&M on that little spreadsheet I gave, or the presentation, and it's the R&R. And I was going to ask Maureen in the future, in her notes column, to put those 2 down there, so that everybody's not confused as to where the number came from. On the Bear Branch, under your notes, under the expenses. So you're charging us 143,000, and that's exactly what it comes out to when you look at our O&M plus our R&R. And I just think it'll help clarity instead of being a mysterious number. They're the 2 pieces, folks. That's what you're paying for. I'm just helping. Yeah, just help in the note section there. Yeah. Oh man, I just finished page 1. Anybody else? I'm sorry, Steve.
No more on it's fine.
Okay, page 2.
Can you give us a bit of an explanation, or what will phase 3 of this sewer repair project entail compared to what you did in phase 2?
Generally more of the same type of work, so that the work includes relining manholes, relaying or relining pipe that was identified to be had breaks or leaking. let's see, that's the majority of the type work. Anything specific to the sanitary sewer that was identified in the original.
Were you for that?
Hmm.
Was that before my time?
Yeah,
The evaluation was,
Yeah.
and I think when y'all came on, we were starting phase 2.
See what I mean about not knowing everything that's going on? That'd be neat. Okay, well, the question then of engineering, is that being shared by connection or is that being shared equally across the board?
I believe by connection.
Okay, and then the work that you said you won't see it in 27, you'll see it in 28. And you'll see why my questions in a little while. So it's 100, you expect 110, 100 in. Yeah.
Some of that is normal. Not all of that is
Okay,
specific to that project. There's a smaller portion that's specific to that
okay,
project.
and then, so that one number be specific to this month.
Correct.
Okay, perfect.
And the reason that, my understanding for the reason of breaking that project into 3 phases originally was to spread the cost out over a few years, because if we had done it all in 1 year, then there were MUDs that weren't going to be able to do it. There was one MUD that still isn't able to do some of it, but
Mhm.
it was more to just spread the costs out over 2
So
years.
it's kind of like your the large ditch stuff. There's some things,
Basically,
yeah, you did it over years to make it more palatable to all the muds.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's where that's the big 2 questions I have outstanding now are large ditch and storm sewer.
for our benefit, when you, in the notes here, you had this reference to interceptor piping. Specifically, what is that for the benefit of everybody?
Sure. So if you were to walk the ditches, you might encounter pipes coming into the ditch. You might see a pipe that's coming into the ditch. And we classify 2 different types of, or 2 different reasons the pipe came in. One is an interceptor pipe and one is a storm sewer. And so generally speaking, storm sewers are going to be bigger. But an interceptor pipe, so the way that a ditch is designed usually is trapezoid. So it'll have a slope and a flat bottom. And then it comes up to the bank, to the top of the bank. And then it may be sloped back down away. And there's a little bitty swale on the outer edge right by the fence, right? And every few hundred feet, you might encounter a little concrete structure and a pipe. So the reason that engineers put in the interceptors is that the rain that falls directly on the top bank, you don't want that rolling over the corner coming in this way, because it'll erode the bank of the actual ditch. So it runs horizontally along the length of the ditch in these smaller swales that are out near the fence. And then every so often you got to capture it and get it into the ditch. And so those are interceptor swales and interceptor pipes. A storm sewer is going to, and those are usually 18 and 24 inch. You're not going to usually see one bigger than an 18 or 24. So usually if you see an 18-inch or 24-inch pipe, it's likely going right up to the top of the slope, and it starts right there. You see something bigger than that, it coming into a ditch, it's likely a storm sewer pipe, and those will come in to the ditch and go up to the top to a manhole. And then the manhole is basically used to turn and align it through lots and into the streets. And so, and then there's sewer lines that are going to be, or excuse me, in this case, storm sewer lines that are going to go up and down the street, and all of them will be tied to the gutters that you see. So we call those inlets. And so the storm inlets are the little holes in the curb that take the rainwater in. It goes down into a pipe, connects to a bigger storm sewer, and as it's further away from the ditch, it's a smaller pipe, and as it collects more streets and more streets and more streets on the way to the ditch, it usually gets bigger and bigger and bigger until it outfalls into the ditch itself. And so that's what we call storm sewers. So
Yes.
Okay.
Is there a schematic available on this? Because you just went through a lot. But is there a schematic available?
not specifically, but I mean, I can
Could we
draw
get one? Yeah, you just understanding basics is
easy enough.
important. Thank you.
Yeah, I got more, if I can stay on the subjects. I got some budget questions about it.
Yeah.
You still have some?
No, go ahead. Jim.
Okay, let's go back to large ditch, excuse me. I didn't say the B word. Large ditch is like $500,000. That's a lot for us. Last year we did 250-ish, more or less. Is this the end of the program or do we have more next in 2028?
You're gonna have more going forward forever, but I would say that the heavy lifting will be done. This includes that 300,000 that I mentioned earlier. That's why it went up so much.
Well, here's what I don't, I don't have, okay,
Heavy
so,
siltation.
yeah, I don't have any visibility in what you're, where you're talking. So I have this project list you gave us a while back. So are the projects, is this project's on the sheet?
Some of them, yeah.
All of
Yes,
them?
I think they may all be.
The siltation one especially, which is very expensive.
Yes. Now, keep in mind too, is on
Which
all
one
of
is it?
these, I know,
Yeah.
there are estimates in here for unknowns too. So in a lot of in all of the districts, we'll say
Mhm.
we might budget for a potential 2 pipe failures. Let's say they may or may not happen. You might have 5. You might have none. You never know what's going to break, when it's going to break on the water, sewer, or drainage side. So some of these
I can
are
understand that,
estimates,
sure.
Yeah.
and other things are actual known items that came from the investigation.
Okay, well, I don't see desilting on this list there. Maybe I'm missing it.
Yeah, that's mostly piping.
Okay, well, here's your $500,000 budget. Normally, when I used to work and I had a $500,000 budget, I had to come to the board and say, hey, I want $500,000 and here's a little bucket and I've got X number of miles to do something on. I've got the desilt, this specific portion is a $300,000 expenditure right here. And I'm going to carry over into some of it next year so that I can understand the scale of the project I'm approving the budget for. So I'm going to ask you if you can help us get a little more clarity on large ditch and the 500 million. And I'm going to ask the same thing on the other large budget item, that's storm sewer. And is that going to go into next year too at this type of level, or are we going to be back to reduced to what we were a couple of years ago?
I would guess that both will likely go, once those projects are done, that it'll go back to normal. Yeah, now I will say that over the years, those 2 items were not being addressed as proactively as we proposed. So one of the things that I did propose to the districts last year is once we get over the hump of all these, known poor conditioned areas, that, we ranked them in a 1, 2, and 3 level. And
Right.
so 1 or 0, 1, 2, 3, and 0 is we just identified the asset. 1 was it's in pretty good shape, so really no action to be taken. 2 is definitely deteriorating, but we're just not ready to do anything with it. Those 2s will become 3s in the future. Now, how soon they will, we estimated at that time last year that those 2s were more in the 5-year, 10-year mark, meaning they're not going to happen next year, but probably in the next few years, some of those 2s will become 3s and then we'll need to deal with them. So that's kind of how we looked at it. And then
That makes sense.
And then the MUDs decided, and I think all of them agreed that let's just tackle the 3s. And that's the part that I'm saying we thought was going to be about 12 to 18, 24 months and would just blow through all of that. And like I said, we made great progress this year in our first hit at that. Once that heavy lifting is done on the 3s, we're going to go into kind of what's called a maintenance mode. So, the tree trim back, we're going to kind of more keep up with it so it doesn't get as bad. The desiltation, what we're going to do is start tackling some of the easier, smaller desiltation projects. And then we'll be able to, what we did also with this program was build a database, a GIS database that's linked with mapping. And so let's just say in 2027, we go and desilt a particular area of a ditch. And we're going to document that in 2027, we did that. So in 28, 9, 30, we can start looking at it every year and say, nope, still good, still good, still good. And at some point, it's going to resilt again. And so then in the future, we'll have a really good data to be able to project when that next, and also instead of, letting it get up a couple feet, we can maybe, every few years, knock out 6 inches of it instead of letting it get up as big as it did. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I mean,
That's kind of the thought process in the maintenance program. So I think it will generally go down and then it'll just kind of hover once we.
I think you run a really good program and got it organized. So just help us understand where we are with regards to the money we're trying to spend and what look forward looks like so that we can make sure we do our planning when we look at tax rates.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
And on that storm sewer repair, I noticed that we only spent or projected to spend about 70,000 out of the budget of 270. Is things.
I think some of that is billing. We're finishing some things up right now, and I think you'll still see some some billing come in on that.
Okay.
So I think there's
Just curious.
a little bit more spent on that.
Okay,
We just knew that we were gonna choose. I will say there are some areas within this year's budget projects, the known ones, the threes, that took coordination with other entities. And we've got to get them, we've got to align or coordinate the timing, and some of those there's a little bit more coordination with, so.
any other?
No, that got me. All the highlights for me. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. We'll move on to the item 11, consider an act on Montgomery MCAD fiscal year budget, 26-27 budget.
You all had some questions last month regarding the proposed budget and voting on it and issues. that was
Sure,
going on.
yeah.
I have Sherry Hunter here. She's the chief appraiser. But I'll let you know before that their budget, proposed budget was about 1%. They were asked to review it again. They lowered it to 2.83%. It went from 20 million to 19 million. 18 FTEs is what they were looking at. They now have 16 in the budget, and they took their merit raises away. So now it's down to 2.83%. And Sherry's here to answer any questions that you all may have regarding, and the proposed budget revised and the original one is out on the Google Drive.
Thank you for Rachel, and thank you for being here.
Yeah.
I know I had some questions last month because I listened to, or I read a review of what the county commissioners had said to you, and it looks like you took it to heart, and they said, hey, some of these extra people and merit raises look a little high to us. Did you go and present to them the revised budget, or did you do that without reviewing it with them?
So I have not presented to the county as of yet, but the county was the first one to actually voice their opinion regarding our budget. However, I have spoken with several other entities since that time and just taking into consideration all of the comments and understanding that a lot of them were mirroring each other. What we did was we went back and we looked at our budget to see what things did we currently have in our 2027 budget that we could actually defer towards future budget and still be able to meet the needs of the CAD. And so working with my team as well as our budget committee, we were able to get down to the 2.83. As Ms. Jeannie stated, we are looking at 16 new FTEs, which is full-time employees, 12 of which are appraisers. And one of the things that we're doing differently now with MCAD is when it comes to our residential team, we've always worked as a group from one part of the county to the next part of the county. Well, with these additional full-time employees, what it's allowing us to do is actually be able to break the county up into 4 quadrants. And with those 4 quadrants, we will have a supervisor as well as 7 appraisers under that supervisor to ensure that we're touching the entire county every single year as required by the tax code. And in doing so, also, it would allow us to be able to keep appraisers out in the field during our hearing season, because another issue that we had in the past was that same group of appraisers that were picking up all of the new construction in the field were the same group of appraisers property owners met during that hearing season, which is April, May, June, July, and sometimes in August. So that kept our team out of the field for a significant amount of time through the year. But with these additional employees, we're able to keep some team members out in the field throughout the year.
You said that 16 new appraisers is
12 new appraisers.
12 new, okay.
So you cut a couple supervisors and the merit raises, and that got you
Yes.
where you needed to be. Well, the supervisor expensive. That's always the case, isn't it? I haven't seen you here. I'm John Thaler. You and I talked extensively during the MCAD board election last time.
Mhm.
And we went down this rabbit hole and ended up not voting. Are we gonna ever have that happen again? Or are we gonna get it all sorted out?
Oh, no, we're not gonna have that rabbit hole happen. We have it all.
I know it was
sorted
tough on you guys too, because we all, nobody understood exactly what we were supposed to do.
out. That is correct,
So-
but no, we have all of that ironed out now.
Oh, in that case, I can approve your budget.
Oh.
Not that we're a big piece of it, right? And I do appreciate you coming. I mean, for people who don't know, put in perspective, we're really small for all that Sherry does. And so to come to visit our MUDs, I think that's exceptional. I thank you for doing that.
Yeah, our share of the budget is 0.16 0.35 or something like percent of the budget, so it's pretty small.
I like to round up.
But nevertheless,
And it's also an actual
Well,
decrease from what you paid into
The
last year.
decrease from that
There you go.
67
Yes.
is $207.55.
Well, that's like going to the grocery store and give me a coupon and they tell me I saved $1 and I spent $100, right? The cost is going up. You did a good job of reducing from some of the increase.
Thank you.
so do we want to have a motion to
I make a
approve?
motion, we approve the MCAD budget.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you very
Sharing with us, yeah. Okay, we're on now to item 12 for the financial advisor's recommendations concerning our 2026 tax rate.
Good
Mr.
afternoon.
Cohen.
I passed out 2 additional pieces of information. The stapled one, first of all, is it's an updated analysis. Steve had requested 99% collections. What's in your packet assumes 98% collections, and then we're assuming 3% interest earnings versus the 2% in the packet. And then we also updated some of the budget numbers based on Maureen's updated budget. So I'll go through the packet. And since it's some of your first time going through it, I'll run through it, but high level. And just to remind the board, the tax rate setting process is a 2-step process. So all you're doing today is authorizing publication of your total tax rate. Next month, you'll hold a public hearing. Then you'll adopt and levy the tax rate, breaking that tax rate out between maintenance and operations and debt service tax rates. Keeping in mind, you always want to publish the highest rate you'll consider, because you can always come down from that number next month without, otherwise you have to republish, and it extends the process. So on the cover sheet, if you look at assumption number 1, your net taxable value for 2026, that's as of January 1, 2.56 billion. That's a 4.53% increase over last year's 2.45 billion. If you flip past the first page, last year you needed 5.25 pennies to pay your outstanding principal and interest. And on this cash flow, I'll run through it really quickly since it's the first time some of you may be seeing it. So that first column, year ending, keep in mind you're always collecting taxes in arrears. So that first line item is your 25 certified value, but you're collecting those taxes in 26. So it's 1 year off. The second column is your fund balance year over year. The next column is assuming fund interest earnings on that fund balance. The next 2 columns are blank. Your next column is your prior year's AV, so your assessed value. So you can see that first line is the 2.45 billion. That's your 25 certified. Next column just shows you percentage growth year over year. The next column is the proposed debt service tax rate, 5.25 pennies. The next column would be 99% collections on that value at 5.25 pennies. The next column, total funds available year over year. So that is just the sum of your tax collections plus your fund balance plus your interest earnings. Current debt service is your outstanding principal and interest on bonds that are currently outstanding. Total debt service is the same as current because we're not proposing any additional bonds. The second to right column is your ending fund balance year over year after you make that debt service payment. And then all the way to the right is your debt service coverage. And TCEQ requires when we go to talk to TCEQ or present anything to TCEQ, they require us to reflect at least 25% of the following year's debt service. So that's just showing you are good there.
Question on that.
Sure.
So my world is anything under 1%, you're underwater. So I just want to figure out how your debt service, what are the components of that? I tried to back into it.
Back into the coverage.
Coverage.
Yeah, it's just coverage of your following year's debt service. So it's how much is left in the bank.
Oh, it's good. So it's a forward looking.
Correct.
Gotcha.
What does that mean to me?
So the TCEQ wants to make sure that at least 25% of your next year's payment is in the bank. So
This has nothing to do with coverage.
because your tax collections could potentially be choppy, they want you to be able to make at least an interest payment and or a principal and interest payment
So to calculate the 40% debt coverage, what numbers did you grab? You said it was,
So it should be a portion of your next year's debt service. So I'm
So the 36 ought to be what the 478 and change divided by the 129.
Correct.
okay,
Correct.
that'll work.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, and TCEQ requires 25%. This has nothing to do with our covenants.
correct. Correct.
Okay.
And really what TCEQ says is anytime you submit something to TCEQ for approval, and typically that means if you're going for bonds or surplus funds releases and whatnot,
Mhm.
they want to see the cash flow and make sure that you have the 25% coverage.
What kind of interest rates do we have on those bonds? Especially the ones that, the
So,
long ones out there.
so you've got, yours are actually pretty low. I looked earlier.
The last
you're-
one's 0.
Yeah.
That one's easy.
Your 2017 bonds range from 2.3 to 3%. Your 2019 refunding bonds, 2.16 to 2.7, and then your 22 bonds are 0.
Okay, never mind.
So yeah, so your text class, your pooled funds are generating more than.
Absolutely. Good job.
And then if you flip to the next page, this is probably the most informative page. Top box with respect to your maintenance and operations. Last year's levy was 8.25 pennies. That generated just over $2 million. The proposed rate of 8 cents this year, should you consider it, would generate $2,031,000. Parity rate, if you wanted to raise the same number of dollars you did last year, 7.89 cents. Currently, to balance your budget, you need roughly 6.5 cents. And then the value of a penny, we like to let you know, is close to 254,000, just so you have that information. Middle box with respect to the average homestead. Last year's average homestead, $509,777, meaning the average tax bill was $688. Based on the proposed tax rate, this year's average homestead at $537,962 would mean a $25 increase to $713 or 3.57% increase. And then the box below that with respect to Senate Bill 2, which was approved, I believe, in 2019, basically broke the districts out into 3 different types of districts. You have a developing district, which is what you're considered, and that means that you have yet to fund or construct at least 95% of the infrastructure within the boundaries of the district. There's a developed district. So once you have surpassed that 95%, you're now a developed district. And then there's a low tax rate district, which I believe if they're levying under 2 cents of M&O. And so as a developing district, that 3.57%, if it were to go above 8%, your residents could petition for a rollback election. If that rollback election was successful, it would only roll back your maintenance and operations side of your tax rate because your debt service tax rate is pledged to bonds. And so that M&O rollback rate, you can see in that bottom box, the rollback rate is 8.4432, and that is literally 8% of an increase to the average tax bill. We're not proposing that, so you're good there.
Still didn't understand.
What's that?
I didn't understand. What's the tax election tax rate? Did you
So-
explain that? I guess I'm having trouble with those last 3.
Yeah, so if you were to go above 8%,
Okay.
so if that 3.57%, so if the average tax bill goes above 8%,
Increase.
correct.
Okay.
I think it's, do you know how, is it 10% of the residents now can petition,
Yeah,
or
I can't remember.
some percentage of your residents can petition for a rollback election?
Okay.
And so you would have to hold that rollback election.
Okay.
And if it were successful, it only rolls back your M&O side of your tax rate. And that is the bottom line, the 8.4432 cents. We're proposing 8 cents. So you'd be fine there. And then all the way at the bottom, your tax rate history is just a breakdown of your tax rate year over year.
What helped you settle on 8?
So 8 cents, we sit down with staff, and, from the standpoint of our obligation as your financial advisor, we look at the debt side. we rely on staff's recommendation on the M and O
And
side.
explained it. Thank you.
Mhm.
So I understand the debt side's yours and you want to make sure you maintain that DCEQ rate.
Correct.
We want to pay off our bonds and we're in good shape. But we have a lot of room too, if we so desire.
Correct.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned the 95% build out rate. What is MUD 6.7 at this point?
I don't know the answer to that, but I've been looking at it.
I'd like that answer too, because I don't know how close we're getting, especially now.
Typically, the engineer calculates it, so
I don't know if I have their reports yet, but I know you approved it.
Yeah, it was, I don't remember, I don't know the ratio. I don't remember if the ratio was in that report, was it? There was?
I think LJ should have that
They
information.
do, they have.
Still have it.
Remember some raw numbers, mother said. Okay, so the real question here about what tax rates to set, in my mind, really fall back on our assessed values.
Yes.
Okay, and I'm not sure I'm on complete understanding of how we got the assessed values that we did. I sent an email to Jeannie asking her some specific questions, and I doubt if you had time because she's been in budget in the meetings.
Sherry and I have been going back and forth with them.
Good. I says now that Sherry was here.
She's here for this too.
Oh, well, good. Did you see my, so the questions I have is, let me start with the beginning. I looked at the assessed value, or what you guys are calling, what do you have another name for it, this thing? What's the name of it?
Taxable, or are you talking about prelim?
Certified value, which is that about AV? It's about appraised value, right? It means the same thing, except you guarantee it now.
Yes.
It's on you. So what happened when I looked at ours is that our, it's on the front page. So what concerned me is our tax parcels went up 8%, but our increase in certified values only went up 4.5%, which to me didn't seem to make sense in MUD 67, knowing that there's some big buildings, expensive buildings going up. So I was interested in digging a little deeper. So I wrote the questions about, do you have the ability to separate the pre-existing stuff that was there to the new stuff and how the appraised values or the certified values for each parcel are? I mean, I don't know how specific we can get in our questions.
So, yes,
Please.
we do have the.
You have the list. Go
Yes,
ahead.
I do have.
I'm gonna
I have
give you the floor.
questions.
Okay. You're supposed to have the answers.
Well, I have some of the answers as well. And what answers I don't have today, I can definitely get back with you
Great.
on. But the first question that you just stated, basically, do we have the ability to separate what has been existing versus what's new to the role? Yes, we do have that ability to separate between the two as far as the accounts. Now, in looking at MUD 67, we had about 142 accounts that were new to the role this year. And majority of those accounts were associated with Lakefront South condos, I believe is the total name or the full name for it. Lakefront South condos.
Okay, so
Yeah,
it's smaller.
that's where majority of your
Okay.
new accounts came from for 2026. Now, the preliminary numbers that you received, you did receive a reduction looking at the prelims versus the certified. This year was an unusual, well, not really an unusual year. It was expected because when your market is constantly going up and up, at some point in time, it's going to flatline. And so in 2026, we saw a lot of the market area actually stabilizing at that point to where when we were setting values for 2026, almost 50% of our neighborhoods did not change in valuation. Now, even though our values did not change, the property owner still has that option to protest. So if a value didn't change from the previous year, property owner protested and that value got reduced, that's value lost to the taxing entities from that previous year because we didn't change it, but they still were able to get a reduction. So we did see that happen throughout the county. And looking specifically at MUD 67, two things I noticed that contributed to the difference between preliminary and certified was the amount of exemptions. So you had more exemptions within your area. That was about a $12 million difference there, almost 13 actually.
Is that on
Almost
business
13.
tax or we talking, is that on business tax or you talking on single family?
It's all.
All of it.
It's also with that new BPP exemption coming into place, that's part of the exemptions as well. And then The major part was hearings. Unfortunately, you had you had almost 1,300 accounts out of your 3,200 accounts protest this year.
I didn't get
So
a
more
thing.
than 50%.
No, so-
A third,
Wow,
basically,
okay.
about a
That
third.
explains why we saw this number and go, oh, that looks good. And then we see this number and go, oh, that doesn't look so good.
And remember, John, I told you, we don't work off preliminary.
You did,
for that.
she warned me, but you know, I know Christmas is coming every year, so I don't care what you tell me. This time you did it.
I definitely.
She warned me, I admit that, but thank you, she's good. That helps a lot, that helps a whole lot. So
Yeah.
let me do a hypothetical, because I don't know your appraisal business very well.
Okay.
Let's say I'm going to build, a very, very fancy apartment, kind of condominium.
Mhm.
And I sell the units. Is it do you appraise the value on the sale price, or does it have to be resided in, or what's the rule?
So what we do when we're valuing properties, we start at cost. We look at everything as far as the cost to build, and then we're looking at the sales to see what they're actually selling for. So we want to know what that market factor is, that difference between building it and actually selling it.
Okay.
So as we are receiving the actual sale prices, that helps us to be able to determine the market value of that property, not just the cost, but the actual market value, what it would sell for.
So the day it sells, and that would be establishing the
Well,
market price.
yeah, I would imagine though, there's gonna be a lag though, because if
Uh-huh.
we're talking about, the Ritz, then
No, I'm hypothetical, Robert. You want to go ahead and trash somebody's name, you go right ahead.
not trashing anybody, I'm just talking about mechanically. That when you have a building that's under construction,
Mhm.
which that one still is, a lot of that was pre-sold. And so I'm kind
Yeah.
of diving into, but it's partly a question is, even if you have sales that are pre-sales, if the building isn't completed, I would assume you're not assigning full value
Correct.
until it's completed. So you may have sales information, but it's not going to show up on your certifieds because the building's not done.
What will
Partial
happen?
complete,
Yes,
right?
what will happen
Yeah.
is if we have that sales information, if it was pre-sold, so we know what it would sell for at 100%. But if the property is currently under construction at 50%, 70%, we do make that adjustment.
Hypothetical case.
So in my hypothetical case, is that part of your records?
As far as the percent complete, yes.
Right. If I
Yes.
wanted to hypothetically look at those hypothetical units, I could hypothetically understand what happened.
Yeah, and that's going to be as of January 1, keep in mind.
I
not
understand.
just-
No, I understand. I really expected to see a bigger increase because of that.
Yeah, and another thing when
I
it
didn't
comes
understand all
to,
this stuff, yeah.
when it comes to the cost, of course, we're valuing it based on cost. So the way that the cost system is built within our neighborhood, or excuse me, within our CAMA system. However, if that builder or that developer brings in cost information that conflicts or is different in any way, shape, or form from our data,
Right.
if it's not too much of a difference, then we're looking at that and we'll take that into consideration. However, if we feel that there are some missing pieces to it, we wouldn't take it into consideration, but they still have that option to go toward the board. And of course, the board being a separate entity away from the appraisal district, they're like a jury. They're listening to our side, they're listening to the property owner side or their representative side, but they're the ones making the value at that time. And so when that value is set by the board, the appraisal district has nothing to do with it.
That makes sense.
So the analysis that you did was based on the certified value January 1, which was this
Yes.
roughly 2.4 billion.
Correct.
But on page 20 of our deck, of our
Did you
review
get the
pack,
email that we sent that I changed? There was an error there on the 25, and Shelley has sent out an email updating that to the correct number.
Yes.
The correct.
Yeah,
oh, okay,
yes, I got one.
okay, all right, well, that answers my question. I didn't see that email.
So about 24 million remains uncertified. Help me understand.
Is that being argued and was that, being reviewed or?
Actually, yes. So the difference between certified and uncertified, we reach certification once 95% of the appraisal roll has been reached. Now, that doesn't mean all of the hearings are completed. It just means 95% of the value has been locked in. And so looking at MUD 67, actually, I looked at it this morning, you guys have less than 30 accounts remaining under appeal. So as when we're sending over those supplemental rolls to Ms. Jeannie, as far as each of the entities, you will see that value coming back onto your roll as certified.
So here's my question. Let's say that the uncertified number goes to zero. Hypothetically, how does that impact the recommended tax rate?
So I think the uncertified should be the owner's estimate. So if the owner won 100% of their contest, that's the value that's baked in.
They give us 3 estimates at certification time,
Oh,
okay? And we take the lower of the 2, or the 3,
Okay.
oh, okay.
to be conservative, okay?
Okay.
If it comes in more than that, it's just a bonus to the district. If it comes in less, then, it just comes in less than that.
Who comes up with the estimates and what are the basis of the estimates?
Yeah.
Yes.
I kind of knew the answer first, but
You just approved your budget, so you have to answer anything.
So yes, so the basis of the estimates that we provide is basically looking at how much value has been lost throughout the season.
Sure.
So we're looking at that compared to what is still under protest.
And so my question, the basis for my question is, how would this impact the recommended tax rate?
So, I mean,
If it came into 0, if it came in at 0.
like Brian said,
If it just hypothetically,
Okay.
so if it came in at zero.
the 23.8 million is, so say John went to the appraisal district and said, my house is worth $500,000 and the appraisal district is saying 700,000,
Sure.
then we're using the 500,000 because he's
Okay.
he's not going to be able to protest below
Right.
what he believes it to be.
I understand what you're saying, and maybe I'm just being,
I think you're
I'm-
asking,
Based on.
you're asking for a sensitivity. If you threw in a certified value, but it's 20 million on 2 billion, right?
and so it's about 9%. So
No, 1%,
1%, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
a little decimal.
Um, would that have an impact? If this goes to zero, would it have an impact?
Are you saying the uncertified goes to 0?
Yes,
The total uncertified goes to 0?
yes.
Then we would just use what the certified number is with nothing under review.
Okay.
But they have to give us an estimate of what it could be.
Yeah.
And when they do that, we take a lower amount to be
Yeah.
conservative in case something happens on one of those properties.
I mean, I can run it that way if you, just for your reference.
It's point,
For an idea.
it's point
Right, 0.9.
0098 or 99%.
Exactly. Well, how did you pick your 4.5% growth there for 1 year on your AV?
It's from
it's-
certified to certified from 25.
Yeah.
to 26
Oh, okay. So
certified.
going forward, we have no growth. Okay, that's so.
Yeah, so, and
Yeah,
that's,
That's fine.
no, that's a good
That's your
point.
thought.
I mean, we show you the full cash flow, but really all you're really concerned with
Yeah.
is what are you levying for the next year?
Well, that's you. And that's why I'm going to disagree with that statement
Okay.
a lot. And we're going to talk about that in a few minutes.
Everything's
But-
for one.
But while I've got Sherry here, so the questions I was asking about that hypothetical
Mhm.
could have significant impact on our AV in the next 2 years.
If it's still under construction, yes.
Well, and if they finish everything, that should too. And I'm looking at reason, and that's why I disagree with you, not to be rude. We have a wall of money that we're going to be spending in the next couple, 3 years. It's coming. And so I want to make sure that we don't look at things in a little box and say 1 year is 1 year. Because then I may be whipsawing my residents and I don't want to do that. I want to treat them with the respect they deserve and give them a chance to plan their lives like I want us to plan ours. And so I'm going to ask if you guys can get together on helping me understand better some of those big outliers that may be coming. So that when we do it again
Yeah.
for the final budget, Adam, we can
Yeah.
say, okay, understanding it's a forward look, but this could be a case. We could maybe run a couple cases, okay? So I would appreciate your help on doing that.
And, keep in mind, just looking at this with no growth, if you look at that middle column and you look at the decrease, I mean, it won't be until 2032, 2033. just keep in mind that each penny is worth 250,000. So
Right.
in 2033, if you were to shift those pennies to maintenance and operations, think of it as that's going to be 1.2 million.
Yeah, we'll probably need some of that too, yeah.
Right,
Good
so
point.
it's a way you can shift as you're paying off your debt.
Right, no, I think that's good, that's a good point, and that's even longer term planning than I was going to do, but. Yeah, I think that answered my questions about AV. And thank you for being here, boy, that was very intuitive, thanks for doing that. So we're gonna get some work done, and we're gonna get some good answers, I love it. Before, no, we haven't even done the good stuff yet. Okay, so I mentioned this 3-year thing. Before we get into tax rate, I want to talk about this. I made this spreadsheet and I have made up number. I don't know what to put in here. And I really would like to encourage the River Authority, who I stole their 10-year plan numbers, and the WWA to give me some numbers that I can do, and understanding it's only an outlook. We have a budget for 27. We can put the numbers for 27 in there. And 28 and 29, I'd like to have a little outlook. That's why I was asking you about future costs that are coming. These are the big projects. You're gonna have, we know you have your everyday business. I'm more worried about big items that may be coming. So if you could help me do that, and on the Woodlands Water, I would like it if, my plan is to take this, like I've done on some of the stuff I showed you earlier, take everything and break it down by mud, so every mud knows what's coming. It's not just me. It's just, since we all share the big project, and I know you have the numbers because Maureen had to put the numbers in their budget for our projects. I'd like to do that. I'd like to do it before the next meeting, get it to people so they can say, and I give her other mud, say, hey, what's coming? And there's some debate. No, it's hard to get our handles on because we have so much activity going on. And that combined with the AVs or the certified values ought to help us make a better guess or better stab at what kind of tax rates and water rates we're going to have in the next couple of years. That's my goal.
So our goal is that we're going to be building a 10-year plan for WWA or MUD specific projects. We won't have that ready next month. We can see if we can just do a short 3-year look at it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this
But the point is it's coming to where we're going to be giving you a 10-year look to match. So you'll see SRA's 10-year, you'll see the MUD 10-year. Going forward. It just takes a little, I know we don't have a lot of mechanical assets like they do, but we do have water, sewer and drainage. You know, we haven't even talked about water renewal on the MUD side, which I don't think it's anywhere near.
No worries. I'd love to have that conversation.
Look at it, yeah.
That's our job. Absolutely.
Because we're gonna need to do condition based on that years down the road, not anytime soon, but.
So that's all good. So we have 3 years to think about if we can just get a quick thing.
Yeah.
And
And we'll have that next month, did you say, or?
no, but I'd like this a couple
said maybe a
couple
3-year.
weeks before so we can talk about it.
So we'll see if we
Yeah.
can.
Yeah, 3-year,
get as much-
not a 10-year, 10
No,
years
just
later.
Yeah, no, 10 years is assigned. When, to be clear,
Okay, so thank you.
when would we see the 3-year?
Asking for it next month, so.
No, I'm asking for it a couple, we need to go through it. Yeah, as soon as because I need to get we need to say, okay, hey, Adam, can you run these couple different scenarios so that I know what kind of cash I'm gonna have and how I'm gonna start paying for all the improvements. And Ed, I took your 10-year plan and I know you're wanting to get your budget through, but I'm looking at some of that might be pushed off. I don't know. You have better understanding. You tell me if you want me to stay with your 10-year plan or if you think I should move some of the stuff from 27 to 28. And again, this is an outlook. It's not a budget. No one's being held to it.
Yeah.
It's just to help our decision making. That's all it is.
You send us this Excel sheet?
Oh, yes. I always ask you for them, so that's fair. Turnabout's fair play. Yes, sir, I can. Thank you.
That way we can
I'll do the
actually
same
put
for
the
you.
numbers in and
Understood.
we'll color code it.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Cool. I think if we do that in a couple of weeks, we'll be able to
Yeah.
sit as a group. I know Adam's gonna make us want to set a rate that has to be published. He told us that already. And I'm all for that, but
Yeah.
to get to the final, I think we need to look at the detail.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it always is bothering that we only are looking at a single year here. We know what's
Yeah.
coming and
Yeah.
we need to somehow reflect that in our thinking. And so it's all good things.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you have.
Okay, so-
What is it?
Oh, I just went through it.
Oh, okay,
I
well,
mean,
I know.
your consideration would be, what would you be comfortable publishing for discussion next month at your public hearing?
Yes, we can't go higher,
Correct. So
but we
you,
can go lower.
You-
My recommendation would be to publish what we have today. No
13.5 cents?
change, and we can move it as we need to. That would gives us some room.
Right.
Yeah.
That's my recommendation.
13.5.
We have a motion.
Okay, what are
Well,
we doing?
we have
That
a
was-
second to John.
That was my motion.
Same as
Second to John's motion.
I second it.
Second, okay. By show of hands, we all in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Quinn? Yeah, okay.
Good stuff.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, and-
Put it to work.
Thanks, Ed.
I love it.
absolutely. And in between this month and next month, if there are other scenarios you want, feel free to reach out.
Yeah, when I get the date, I'll start speeding stuff through the president. The president is the boss. All right, cool. That was
Yeah,
good.
that was good.
Useful stuff, guys.
All right.
Very informative. Okay. Okay, we're on to item 13, the Estuary Woodlands Division Report.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
The operating report starts on page 28 of your packet. The month of July was pretty normal, no major issues, no violations, just hot. Do want to point out that the All Muds wastewater treatment facility #1 evaluation meeting is going to be on September 1st at Brady Library.
Right.
And be happy to start.
Yeah, that's a Corolla thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I read in your report, because I do read it, that they gave you a draft report on the 22nd of July. And you've shared it with Eric, or you guys at least discussed it. Are we gonna get any numbers or recommended numbers? Because we still have a budget to do, right?
What you'll hear at the meeting has to do with basic sizing.
Right.
So that once you all say this is what we want, then they can go prepare cost estimates.
Okay.
They don't have cost estimates yet.
Notice I put something on that spreadsheet I'm gonna share with you, but I don't know what numbers to put in.
We don't either.
I know. What you're leaving, you're retiring, you got a lot of experience. If you were sitting in my chair, what would you?
Issue me a contract to come back.
That may be feasible.
That'd be the straight enough thing.
It was good. It was good, dude.
Hypothetical.
Would you, and I know it's a stretch, but would you put some money in the 27 budget? Or you think we can,
We have no money in the 27 budget for the wastewater plant.
do we have anything in R&R that we could use to pay for that? To
No.
get started, engineering, anything?
Not that I'm aware of.
Since somebody made you cut your R&R budget, now you're gonna tell me he was wrong, huh?
I didn't say a word.
So would we have the option if we get the news and we want to start, say, your PER activity, would the MUDs be able to say, okay, we'd like to add to the R&R budget to do that?
Not without adjusting what we'd have to do a budget amendment and then you would have to come up with cash. All 10 MUDs would have to come up with cash.
Yeah, we're talking about PER though, right? Because you're teaching me, you're
Yes.
engineering. And depending if it's piecemeal, if it's pieces or all.
Right. And that's going to be part of the ultimate deliverables is you'll have, here's the items that need to be done first. Here's the estimated costs. Here's the approximate schedule of when to accomplish that. And the idea, so if you think back to how long it takes us to put a budget together, we start doing our capital projects planning in, I think we take the month of October off.
Yeah, I was surprised how long it is, but yeah, you put it.
We start late October, early November, doing capital projects and 10-year project planning. And then we bring a preliminary to the audit committee in April, is what I recall. To say, here's what we think it's going to be, and then we go from there.
But I think it's worth talking about the timing of the Corolla work because
Yeah, it is.
this is just, remember, it was about a 6 to 9 month process. We're only 3 months in.
Well,
So,
that's true, because it's just a sizing.
right, so the sizing was first. My understanding is from that, they will finish the rest and we wouldn't get even the final of that
Until
evaluation
bring back.
until probably early
Okay.
next year. So then that's gonna take a couple months for the MUDs to contemplate that. So I don't see that you're gonna really spend 27
Yeah, you're right.
in in any appreciable numbers for any in engineering at all.
And then on top of that,
Mhm.
we would need a supplemental agreement.
Oh, we're working on
No,
it.
this is for wastewater. The one you're working on today is water.
Okay,
We would need a wastewater one
that's fair.
to start.
But I'm optimistic. We got one hammered out, we'll get the second.
Sure.
Yeah.
In much faster time.
Correct.
Because your meeting went a long way to helping us understand the process.
That was the goal.
Yeah, oh, you did. Thank you.
Do you have any other?
I have one other
Yeah.
question for them. Sorry.
Sure.
Chris Meeks in his letter about the global amendment said something about, let's see. A non-response to that global amendment will be considered to have not approved the amendment, and its water usage will not be included in determining whether the required 85% threshold has been met. Does that mean it's a negative vote?
Correct.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm that. Thank you.
And then also in your packet on page 44 is the Bear Branch Dam monthly operating report,
That was very helpful.
where the guys have been out, you know,
Oh, yeah.
doing things. And then on page 45 and 46 is a quick synopsis of the two capital projects that are, one that's we're trying to schedule an all mud meeting for sometime in September.
Mhm.
And then the other one is we're waiting on the Corps of Engineers to say whether they put money in their budget for a feasibility study.
Mhm.
And then we'll, after this, we'll talk about the Bear Branch budget.
Very briefly, on page 29, the water loss, I'd just like to note that we're still running about 50% over budgeted water loss. And that continues to be a concern.
Yes, and Mr. Thaler is the chair of the water loss.
Okay, we're working the issue.
It's your fault.
We got started. We had a
Yeah.
really good first meeting with Eric and Ed and the team and got oriented into what the River Authority does to bring the
Yeah.
water here to the woodlands. So
Yeah.
we're looking more deeply into, got some more data to do, and then the next step will be with Woodlands Water. So we're
Excellent.
making progress.
Yes.
And then we're anxiously waiting for October to get September 25 off this chart.
Well, that's the one we have to look at the most.
Yeah.
But okay, we understood. We
Yeah,
understand.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I just wanted to make
Thanks for,
that.
yeah, thanks for making my life miserable.
Any other comments, questions on item 13?
No.
Okay, moving on to 14, consider an act on the draft Bear Branch Dam fiscal year budget and full year.
And I'm gonna challenge your all's memories. We presented the Bear Branch budget last month, along with the 10-year project plan. There have been no changes to the budget or the project plan, and we're asking for your all's approval today so that we can go to our board meeting next week and say all the MUDs have approved, and we can approve, the SJA board can approve the Bear Branch budget along with all the other division and departmental budget.
You're talking about the O and M and the R and R.
Yes, sir.
So if you go to the handout I gave you, pages 9 and 10, because I can't remember anything, because whatever Ed said is true, and it's on these two sheets. So for O and M, we're asked to approve, where is it, MUD 67?
So if you go back to this sheet,
Yeah, totally, yeah.
$143,858.
It's a total of the 97 for O and M and the 40 something, where is it,
46,229.
for the spillway.
Right.
I make a
Yeah.
motion, we approve it.
Second.
Oh, sorry.
I was gonna add something, but it doesn't
Yeah, go ahead.
affect the vote.
ahead.
Just information that you recall that, as John said, there's 5 members. There's also 5 non-members, or I call them members, contracted, whatever, participants. If you recall last year, we were to get the other 5 to pledge a certain amount. That pledge is in their budgets that are being proposed. So the delta that's left is that portion that we just mentioned, the 46,229. So that is the remainder of minus the pledge, and the pledges came to about just over 1.2 million. from the other participants. So the remainder of that was split by the existing participants at your current pro rata. And the result of that, which was about 300,000, what was left of the 1.5 million,
Correct.
is the 46,229. I just wanted to.
No, that's perfect. Now, page 10, if you want to know the guys that pledged money to help, it's on that sheet.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so we've had a motion and a second. Are we all show of hands in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, item 15,
Defer.
deferred. Attorney's report.
Only item I have is reminder, if you haven't completed your AI and cyber training, end of this month is when you need to have that completed.
We know who it was.
I don't know who's completed or who hasn't, so I just make the reminder and Kelly email.
Kelly was keeping everybody in line.
Yeah.
All good, all good.
All right, that's all I have.
Okay. Item 17, let me ask a question in view of the time. Item 17, should we consider deferring that item?
We can.
Would other member directors be in favor of that?
Yep, thanks.
All in favor of that? Okay.
Aye.
We'll defer that item.
Okay.
Okay, and number 18, consider an act on appointment of representative and alternate to serve on the community working group. Okay.
Hey,
Currently, the way that stands in the past year, I have been the representative. And I think to begin our session this year, I think, John, you were.
I was your alternate.
Alternate, just as people were coming on board. So now we have to do a more formal.
we have new members, and I, as a member of the Public Engagement Committee, I am, I'll be attending anyhow, so we at least need another alternate.
Okay.
So
So,
happy to participate. I'm not sure
okay,
where we are on the
okay, I mean,
principal and the alternate.
I'm, unless somebody wants to step in and be the rep, I mean, I'm happy to continue to do that and we can find an alternate. I mean,
So the committee, just the community working group, Eric, you want to you can do one in 1
or,
minute, I know
or,
you can't.
or our friend,
Oh,
John,
John.
Or John, yeah.
yeah, John,
Yeah, either one. You want to do it?
whatever.
Okay.
Go.
All right, go.
Okay, so as part of the recognizing that there was a lot of infrastructure coming, we started a campaign about 2 years ago that really included building a lot of content to start communicating with the public. Out of that endeavor, there was a website that was created. And then the other piece of it was to get grassroots networking efforts with community members. And so there was what's called the Community Working Group, the CWGs is what we're talking about, made up of one director from each MUD, representatives from the village associations, business unit leadership of the Woodlands community, SJRA, Howard Hughes, the township as a member. And so the idea was that information would be shared with that group. They could go out and share that with their neighbors and friends, gather any intel or information. Maybe they recognize there's a gap in information, bring that information back to the CWG, and then that could help create new content to bridge some of those gaps in communication with the community as it relates with infrastructure in particular. So we had a number of meetings last year, and what we always said was, the MUDs are going to get the information first. And once the MUDs have gotten the information and or made decisions on that information, we would then bring it to the CWG. And so right now we're kind of in a limbo state where, we got some pending questions on the tier 1 water lines, and we have some questions still on the wastewater treatment plant. Those are kind of the big projects that everybody's waiting to hear about. And we just don't have the data yet with the numbers and everything else. So there's going to be probably a little bit of lag for a few months until we get more information to share with that group. Wasn't quite a minute, but I tried to.
That's good.
It's going to get to be more important as we move on, so.
I'm happy to be a representative or alternate, however,
You'd like.
Mr. President,
Mr.
you
Well,
think best.
what my preference is those individuals are folks that are truly engaged in wanting to communicate with their neighbors and has a good network. If you just sit there and, don't really participate, that's probably not the best, but anyone that wants to kind of engage. Engagement is.
That's what we need.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, if you have the, if you want to step up to do it, that's fine, or if you want to be alternate, whatever you're.
I'll be the alternate.
All right, and at some point in time, as you come on board, you want to, we're happy to
Yeah.
switch roles if you like, so.
Yep, sure.
So,
Okay, 19.
okay, 19, on consider an act on the pay application number 8 for this wastewater collection. I guess this is the phase 2. This is what, $6,700
Yeah.
is our,
Well, there's a pay estimate number 8 in the amount of $24,956.12. Actually, of that, we and Kim found an error that was in pay estimate number 7, which actually has a refund coming back to you.
I like looking at this.
We've cleaned it up, and so 6,700 is going to be credited back to your overall share of that project. In the end, we clean it all up at the end and balance it, but we found it in 7, so we initiated it in 8.
I make a motion to approve the credit.
credit.
Yeah.
Anybody want to second that one? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
I love
Thank you
credit.
thank you for the money. Okay, number 20.
Okay. I'll go
Eric.
quickly. Yes. General manager report starts on page 71. As you can see there, the list is 201 active projects, development, redevelopment projects. I will say that John pointed out an error, and we are going to correct that for you next month. The Ritz-Carlton is not a hotel. It is a condo.
I tried to check in. I wouldn't let me.
That was just a typo, but yeah, we'll get that cleaned up. We had 28 inspections and 1,800 work orders across the Woodlands last month. You can see on page 73, 4, 5, and 6, a lot of ditch related work. That's the typical type of stuff. We hit, I think, about 67 early in this fiscal year. We did a lot more earlier this year, and we're still doing a little bit more. But you can see the type of stuff from brush clearing to pipe rehab to now we're going to hit some de-silt next year, and we'll continue with that. And then have a couple on 78, couple anniversaries. Josh at 10 years and Tori at 6. We did include, we're making a push to try to improve our ratings, Google and other ratings out there. So we get a lot, you see a lot of emails that we get and letters and stuff that people write thanking us. Well, I want them to go on and put it in the other platforms. So we started focusing on that. We're getting some good returns on that. We mentioned a minute ago, the global amendment, it is in your packet, is not on your agenda today. We will be putting it on MUD agendas in the future. The way that process was work is we've been waiting for that final version.
Right.
This is it. And so we wanted to get it to you as soon as we could, just so you could start mulling it over. And the process would be that the MUDs and or the trustees would give direction to the Woodlands Division on how they want to vote or not vote, or whatever the decision is. So that's kind of, and that would have to occur before December. So we've got a few months to roll through that.
Okay.
That's all I had on the main report. John?
Be brief. You have the report on page 84. Just a couple quick items for you. On page 85, if you're not already signed up for Woodlands Water Weekly, highly encourage you to do so. Great information there, but it's also a really good way to get a sense of the types of things we are communicating on a regular basis. So you can QR that on 85 if you're going to sign up for that. If you're on social media, you can see our 6 platforms there on page 86. If you are on any of those, you see our stuff, please like us and share us, helps us expand our reach. And then an in-person calendar on page 87. I want to note that we have USGS coming on the 24th to the park, 6 p.m. to report on the state of our aquifers. Put that on your calendar. You can attend that live. You can also watch it live from your couch on Zoom, and then we'll be recording it and make that recording available. Thank you.
So the other ones, John, are the ones that you kind of represent us typically at?
Right. Those are events throughout the fall that we'll have a booth at, it's typical format. We'll be there presenting water conservation information, customer support tools, that type of thing.
So going forward, this is one I was suggesting that you add the MUDs. And the reason I'm saying that here, and you already know it, but I want to encourage us as MUD 67. He's going to put our MUDs, where MUD 67 is all over the place. So I would like us to participate with John in attending some of these. We have to represent the MUD. And we've got a lot of stuff coming up this year. And if John is going and we can tie our schedule in, I'd sure appreciate some of us going. So.
Love having
No,
my directors out with us, so I apologize. This was printed before we met,
Understood.
but next round I'll add a call.
Perfect.
And then the Google Calendar also has these outreach events on it.
Perfect. Oh, the one that has the MUD calendar and everything? Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Need room for a closed session, I presume. Right.
Yeah.
All right, then. Do we have any other items discussed for next meeting? We're going to defer, 2 items being deferred to next meeting.
I would like to add an agenda item next meeting. I'd like a discussion on the risks and vulnerabilities of the systems that we rely on from a major or our only supplier of water. And I'd like to understand how that can impact us. I recognize that there are security issues and concerns. Nevertheless, I think we need to get more information into this board. And in line with the security, I'd ask that Brian draft a document that tells us what can and cannot be said based on the law. Does that make sense?
Good to me. You want an agenda item,
Yes.
and I don't know exactly who's going to present what, but you're asking Brian in anticipation of that agenda item to look at the laws that govern the river authority from releasing security information or what they
Yes,
can and
yeah.
can't discuss.
What they can and cannot discuss.
I don't think it's unreasonable.
I'd like it.
That sounds like a closed session.
Yeah, I mean, I can
Yeah.
tell you what the open meetings act provides for.
Sure.
Sure.
And want to keep it straight, but I just want knowledge to percolate so that we understand what the risks are and the vulnerabilities.
Yeah, I mean, I don't speak to that, but in terms of what we
Yes,
can talk
yes.
about in open
Exactly.
session versus-
And I would,
Oh, yeah, that'd be
yeah,
good.
based
That'd be
on,
great.
based on what you
That's a
say
good
we
idea.
can do, would turn to Ed and see what we got.
I got it. You have one?
Yes,
Please.
I would just like to add, would like to do an invocation with our pledges.
Like
We
you
begin our
volunteer?
meetings. Yeah,
How about that? Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Put on the
I
agenda.
would be in favor of that as
Yeah,
well.
me too. And I have one. I don't remember what it is. Oh, yes. I'm looking at the time and I feel like we sometimes have to rush this meeting because we're only scheduled for an hour and a half. I want to put on the agenda item, to look at options to make sure that we can have 2 hours. Every budget season is like this. And they're all anxiously waiting to get in here. And I've been told by a certain attorney at this table, you gotta hurry up, you gotta hurry up. I'm not against it, and he's reminding me he's right.
Yes, nice.
So let's talk about
We
it.
gotta do what we gotta do.
You gotta start on time, right? Understood. So we have to adjust our schedule if we can.
Okay. Anything?
Lots of work.
So I'd like to Woodlands Water, you guys have worked really hard on pulling together the data and the budget.
That's true.
And we really appreciate what
Yes.
you guys are doing.
Very,
Hard work.
It is.
very
And
responsive.
then they have to put up with my questions. That's even worse. Oh, but 2 more meetings and you got it. Next month. Thank you all. He's very,
Okay.
very well said.
Very good. Thank you all.
thank you.
All right, thank you. Meeting adjourned.